People don't tell you about moving to Canada. I feel so alone. Like, I feel like I live with someone I can't have a conversation with, and I'm trying to cry, and I even have to be silent about it. 'Cause you just lose out on so many things. Your life, you just leave it behind. Your friends, and I'm so hurt, and my heart hurts. You have to work all the time and have school. I'm so sad. It's hurting so much. I don't have any friends.
So sad, guys. Imagine getting out of your country, your son, your daughter, even your relative, getting out of your country because of financial. Only you find you are being treated like animal. It's so sad. Guys, I also need your support. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates. Let's watch a video. I will come back with a lot of comments.
In this career, and taking up student loan to advance that career, only to find out that when you do all of these things, you become a slave. You acquire all these material things that the bank owns, and all you do is live with the debt of trying to pay for it. And when you realize you have no quality of life, this is May, it is so freaking cold outside, and you can't get to enjoy your life. So even the things that you're buying to say, yeah, I've accomplished these things, you're not getting a chance to enjoy, because you live in people's workplace. You're like a slave to this thing. It's the worst, and you're not enjoying your life. And you're surrounded by all these bills and more bills, and you realize that somebody tricked you into thinking that borrowing money from the bank to buy a house, and borrowing money to buy a car and all these things only make you stuck in the matrix. I'm annoyed. I am so sick of it. And at the end of the day, you get sick and you're not living any quality of life. Now, if you want to leave from wherever you are in the world to come and experience this, I'm not going to tell you to stop. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of living in Canada. I'm sick of feeling like, I need to be released from this bondage. And I'm not alone. And it has nothing to do with color or creed. It has a lot of people are living here in Canada, and they feel like a slave. They're not enjoying their life. They're miserable. And some people can't even escape, because guess what? Financially, they're not able to get out of their situation. And when they tell you, purchasing a home, one of the biggest, achievements in life, you find out that, listen, all it does is keep you in bondage. I'm so sick of it. And freedom for me means an escape from living like this, where you have the illusion of success and all you do is not enjoy life. When you live here, June and July, before you kind of see, like, the sun comes out and you're warm, and you only have a few months, and before you're back to it. I'm sick of it. So I'm not telling any Jamaican, and I'm not telling anybody, because they always mistake when you complain. And for those of you who are going to come and say, why don't you leave? I'd love to. And sometimes it's not that easy. When you get to my age and you put in so much time and you work hard to achieve certain things, and when you see it slipping through your hand, if you don't stay on the plantation, it is very scary. So you end up staying longer than you should. I'm sick of this life. Canada is not the place it used to be. Canada invite all of these immigrants into the space, and before you know it, people who have been here paying taxes for decades are left in the side, even though they have worked hard. And people who never contributed nothing, they come here, bring them, take the jobs from the people who are already here for decades and paying taxes. And now, I feel sorry for myself, and I feel sorry for all the other people who have done all the work and now should be benefiting. In Brampton right now has the most people losing their homes. People who work sometimes 2-3 jobs. People who are doing everything to hold on to their shelter. It's a damn disgrace. And I just don't want to be the one to contribute to the illusion of being happy or this being that wonderful place. You're better off living somewhere in a one-room board house where you feel freedom and peace and not feel like a slave. So many people are dropping down in their workplace, trying to hold it together. And I don't want to use the D word, but you know, never really getting to enjoy the things that they work for. People are coming out of retirement at 70. What kind of life is this? It is horrible. And then you got a small group of people who is benefiting from our suffering.
Yeah, I must say this, man, to all the Jamaicans that's living in Canada right now. How are you guys doing? How are you guys surviving this place? If you don't notice nothing, like your bills the same, the groceries the same, the mortgage is the same, the house price is the same, you love the weather, then this video is not for you. Just scroll past. But for the other Jamaicans, I'm gonna say this, man, how are you guys doing? Because this place is very draining, very depressing, very mindful. So every day I wake up, I'm like, I don't think I can do 2 more years in this country. I don't think I can do 2 more years here. Like, this place is very draining. And with the immigration, it just make it 20 times worse. 20 times worse. So I'm thinking every day, man, where am I going? When am I going? Is it gone? Is it Jamaica? Tell me in the comment if I'm going crazy, but this place is draining.
My experience in Canada, and I want to give you some of my experience as to what led to me moving back home. So when you move there, you realize that taxes and credit score plays a big role in their society. And if you don't have a good credit score, it can affect you getting an apartment. It can affect you getting a lot of stuff. So when we were apartment hunting, we realized that you had to, one, apply for these apartments, and then you have to put credit scores. And at that point, we had to leave that blank because, you know, we were just moving from the Bahamas, so we didn't have credit scores. Well, the apartment that we finally settled on after going to like 3 or 4 apartment tours, we applied, and the landlord, she was very transparent with us, and she let us know that, hey, I have other people that are applying for this apartment who have better credit scores than you guys, but it's just something about y'all that I love. And with that, she gave us the apartment. Now, when we got into all of the expenses that came along with the apartment, we had to pay, because we didn't have credit score, we had to prove that we can afford this apartment. So we had to pay 4 months of rent in advance on top of the security deposit and the last month's rent. So all of that totaled to like 10K. Then the area that we lived in, we realized that we needed a car. So that was another 7K. And like I said, we was prepared going there, so we had the money on hand. But you start living in the system, you realize once you're going into the grocery stores or whatever store you're going into, that's another set of taxes. Then it's a whole other, a lot of other bills that comes along with living in those countries. So you will have to have money on hand for that. And if you're just moving, obviously, you have to find a job. So once you get into the working system, I realized that the amount of taxes that come out of Canadians' pay is insane. The job that I was working on paid $3,000 a month. By the time as you get your pay, $800 had already come out of the pay. And that's just income tax. That isn't you paying for your insurance and other expenses like gas and stuff that comes along with living, you know what I mean? So a lot of it is it's a very expensive country to live in. Yes, it probably will provide opportunities, but you're gonna have to pay to live there, like a lot of money. And after living there for a while, you realize the culture shock really hits home when you, for months, your family is the only family, if you moved with a family, that you're seeing for months on end. You're not seeing anyone that's your skin color, because it's predominantly more white country, especially depending on where you move. And we lived in the Niagara area. Maybe if we had moved to Toronto, it might have been a different experience, or somewhere else. I don't know, but I only can go off of my experience. And to live in those bigger cities is way more expensive than where we was living, and where we lived was already expensive. And after when you first move there, it's great, especially if you move in the summertime. It's great, you know, the weather's great, and then the weather change happens, and you get down into October where it starts to snow. And man, when I tell you that is very taxing on the body and the mental, you will come outside and you're just grateful that the sun is out because you gone weeks without seeing the sun. Mind you, it's still freezing, but you're seeing the sun. Like it affects you a lot. Winter blues is a serious thing over there, and you can become depressed. And a lot of that played a role in my decision to move back home. Then we started to think, okay, if we're gonna make over here our home, we want to get a home. When we started looking at the cost of homes over there, just a 2-bedroom house in the area that we were looking at was like $500K plus. At that point, you're becoming a slave to mortgage. You'll be paying that mortgage until probably the day you die, like, because it's so expensive depending on your job. And all of that, we compared living there and living in the Bahamas, in which when we left, our jobs weren't that bad. Our lives in the Bahamas wasn't that bad. So for us, it wasn't a hard decision to say, okay, well, we probably could move back home where we would have a better quality of life. So for some people, it might be different. Your experience, that's why I keep saying I am only giving it off of my experience and based off of my life. I cannot speak for anyone else. Someone else might be in Canada living the best life compared to what they lived in the Bahamas, in which it works for people like that. But for me, where life wasn't that bad, it wasn't that hard of a decision to say, hey, I'd rather come home and continue my life home, which that worked for me. My daughter, she lived in Canada with us while we were there. She loved it. She wants to go back to college, and I don't mind her going back there because, like I say, for a single person, maybe it's a different experience. Especially someone who's young going off to college, it might be different. But you have even persons who were living over there during our time, and they were in college, and they moved back home too. So, you know, everyone's experience is just different. And all I tell you is, if you're going to move there, save, be prepared for the culture shock, be prepared to hit speed bumps and know that it's not going to be easy all the time. Even as simple as us getting our driver's license, it was hard. You have to do your research with everything. Think about your life. Think about everything in your life that makes life worth living for you, and do your research on it. You want to get a car, do your research on it. Driver's license, do your research. Apartment hunting, you have to do your research. Even in terms of the area that you live in, the area that you live in might affect the amount of jobs that are available, because the area that we was is a small amount of people, and because of that, the job availability wasn't. The moving to Canada and then moving back to the Bahamas, it honestly gave my husband and myself a newfound appreciation for the Bahamas, because you realize that life back home isn't as bad as you think it is. But sometimes you have to move in order to realize that. And for us, we was able to get our scratch our itch and go over there, live for a little while, and then come back home. And life home is great for us. Like, we were able to move back home, get our home. We're now, you know, we have a kid, another child, and it's not as bad as we thought it would have been. So, like I say, everyone's life is different. Everyone's experiences are different, and you just have to experience certain things for yourself. But I'm just giving it based off of what I experienced.
I am not going to speak for anybody else. I'm going to speak for me. Personally, there's nothing in Canada to miss. When we were growing up, we were cultured that foreign is greener pasture, and America, Canada and England are greener pastures, and everybody wanting to go. And that is one of the biggest lie that could ever endow on the Caribbean people. Caribbean people rich in love, in help, in kindness, in being your brother's keeper. That is not in first world country. What happened is that they trick us, tell us to go to America to work. because of green pasture. And they build up these expensive houses and charge us 250,000 Jamaican dollars, which is 2,000 odd Canadian dollars for rent. And then we have to pay those big rents, and those persons move to the Caribbean, buy houses at the waterfront, and have us maintaining their lifestyle. So they come to the Caribbean, they open up businesses, they buy out the hotels, and all of them are in the Caribbean running wholesales, running hotels, running restaurants, whilst we are the slaves in their country to help them to make their dream come true. Going to Canada was one of the biggest mistakes that I could have ever made. It not only damaged my physical health, but I was very close to getting mental health. I am not talking about anybody else. I am talking about me. The best place to live is Jamaica. Is the Caribbean, is to identify with your people, is to speak the same language. If you want little water, you get little water. You can get piece of breadfruit, you can get 2 tomatoes. If you're sick, you can call your neighbor. There's nobody in Canada to help you. The only thing that Canada have is snow, taxes, and high rent. And silent racism. So no, to answer your question, I forgot to not answer your question. No, I don't miss Canada because there's nothing in Canada to miss. Going to Canada was one of the biggest mistakes that I have ever made, and it cost me my health.
So me park on the street, right out there, so. And me get a ticket, $65. Normally, them tickets cost like $45, $35. And now we raised to $65 for park on the street. So me I say, while the government has spent over $1.8 billion for World Cup, and the city of Toronto has spent over 200,000 for buy condom, for print FIFA, football pan it, for give away free. And them are give me one $65 ticket for park on the corner, high road. If on the street, not on the road, on the street. $65. See it there in Canada. While the government has sent 270 million to Ukraine, has spent over couple billion for World Cup, and buy condom for give away 200,000 stock pay.
So a lot of my friends and family, particular in Jamaica, asking me what is my experience being in Canada, because they want to make the transition. Now, this video is not to discourage anybody from coming to Canada. If you feel like Canada is a place that you want to come and live and, you know, start your family, feel free. Don't let this discourage you. But I want to share the realities of Canada. I've been here for the last almost 6 years, and Canada has been, it's different. From after COVID, Canada has changed significantly in a number of areas. And I'll speak to some of the areas that I think Canada changed a lot in. When it comes down to taxes, Canada, I think, have one of the highest taxes in the world. So the more money you earn, the more tax you pay in Canada. It's like the higher you climb, is the higher the government take money out of your pay. So you're paying, I'm up to 47% of your income in Canada that goes to tax. So it's very, 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 very tax heavy in Canada. The other thing that I noticed in Canada is that after COVID, the price of food went right through the doors. Like literally, you can go to supermarket with 100 Canadian dollar and you come out back with absolutely nothing. Just probably, if you get 2 bags with $100, you get a lot. Food over the last 2 years, particularly 3 years, skyrocket high. The cost of living versus what you're getting for your pay, what you're getting for to buy for food, absolutely ridiculous. The other thing is rent. Now, Canada have this. So before COVID, you could get a 2-bedroom for like 1,100 Canadian dollars, $1,200. Now, after COVID,
the same apartment, the apartment that I live on, I got my apartment before COVID, so I got in a very comfortable rate for a 2-bedroom apartment. Now, I have some friends who moved from Jamaica, and there were some vacancies on this apartment, and they live here, and they're paying $1,800 for the same 2-bedroom. And when they move, the landlord charging $2,200 for the same 2-bedroom. So rent in Canada, it's very, very, very expensive. When you talk about the healthcare, now Canada have free healthcare because they use the taxes that we pay to provide free healthcare. But when you go to the hospital, it's like it's no different from an underdeveloped country where you're waiting hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, like literally waiting for 8 hours. You go to the hospital from 7 a.m. in the morning, you're not getting through, and I kid you not, you're not getting through until around maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. That's when you actually get to see a doctor, because there is a shortage in the healthcare workers. There is no doctor, and you can't go to a private doctor. You can't say, all right, you have your money, so you're gonna go to a private doctor. Canada not deal with private doctor. The rich, the poor, everybody goes to one hospital. Furthermore, you can't even get a family doctor. There's a 6 months waiting list to even get a family doctor here in Canada. The other challenge with the reality of Canada is, honestly, Canada boring. Canada boring. There is nothing to do. It's good when you have like your own community, that you can have that level of culture. You know, you have your Jamaican community, you have the other ethnic groups who have their community. Community is big. If you don't have a community in Canada, man, Canada is boring. Now have nothing to do. So I'm grateful that here we form a nice little community where people can display culture, you can talk your language, you can cook your food, and you just feel Jamaican. Without that being present, Canada boring. So a lot of people just work in Canada and save their money so that they can travel to different countries. That's what I've been doing over the last couple of years. Like me, I can't stay 12 months in Canada. It's not possible. It's not possible. Yeah. So at the end of the day, Canada is still good in some instances where, you know, the crime and violence is not as bad. They have good gun laws, but overall, if you're not a strong person, if you don't have community and you don't have the support, Canada is very, very depressing. And grateful to be here, and I'm not discouraging anybody from coming. You can come and you may find it to be good. The other thing is I want to mention is that with this current government, what they're doing, they're reversing a number of the immigration programs that they had for people to get easy access in Canada. So a lot of temporary residents, a lot of people going back to their countries. Trust me, if you do the research right now, a lot of people going back to their countries because people just cannot afford to live in Canada anymore, or the government make it so difficult for persons now to obtain permanent residence in this country. But still grateful to be here, but I just wish things will change soon. That's just my reality of Canada.
Yo, too much Jamaicans there at Toronto. The other Jamaicans there at Toronto are struggle and can't get no job. Too much Jamaicans there at Toronto. The other Jamaicans there at Toronto are struggle and cannot get no job. See, Toronto have the largest Jamaican population in Canada, and a lot of Jamaicans down there are struggle right now, so they don't know nobody. See, and them a reach out to other Jamaicans to help them to get a job, and them can't get no job. See, either under the table job, them can't get nobody with no nobody if you can't make them get an under the table job, or job legal work what they can do pan the books. See, a lot of man tell me say, yo brother, me have my papers whatsoever, but me can't get no link to no work in a Toronto. And so much Jamaican down at Toronto. What do that Toronto do? As be selfish to each other. Me think say Jamaican down at Toronto supposed to help other Jamaican to get work in a Canada. I won't go on with down at Toronto.
Jamaican men are depressed over here in Canada. Listen, can we talk about how a Jamaican man can get depressed when he comes to Canada? A lot of people had warned me about this before my husband came to Canada, that listen, don't force him, let him come on his own time, because when the Jamaican man them come to Canada, it take a toll on them, and especially if the man was coming from a situation where he was in a corporate job, where he was getting paid a really good salary with benefits and all of that. When he comes to Canada and have to adjust his life to what Canada is, and this is not applicable to all situations. Sometimes some people come and them land in a really good job and it's equivalent to what they had in Jamaica. I'm not talking about those circumstances. I'm talking about, you know, when the man come to Canada and he have to do something completely different from what he used to doing back home in Jamaica. That will take a toll on your man. When I say that will take a toll on your man, that will take a toll on your man. And I know coming to Canada is an opportunity for a lot of people. A lot of other men there and them well on the bus, and them when them come to Canada, them get to do things that they never did before with themselves. Not talking about those people either. But I know for sure that a lot of Jamaican men, when they come here and they have to be working some odd jobs, when they have to be doing some things that, you know, they never did before, when they used to have money a certain way at Jamaica, now they come to Canada, they have to watch every dollar with them spend. It take a toll upon the man. So if you have a Jamaican man who is transitioning into the Canadian, and not to mention the culture, because I feel like that's my husband's biggest pet peeve, it's just, you know, getting used to the Canadian work culture, because the working environment here is so different from Jamaica that it shocks your system. It really does shock your system when you come here, when you're not used to that, when you're used to a more relaxed environment, when you're used to an environment where, you know, you can take 2-hour lunch break. No, you only get 30 minutes. It takes a toll on you. But I really just wanted to say, acknowledge that our men have mental health issues as well. And if you have a Jamaican man or a man from anywhere else that is going through depression, acknowledge that, you know, his feelings are valid and exercise some patience with him.
Hey, my beautiful people. Yeah, I'm back home. I am home in Jamaica. What an experience. What an experience for me in Canada. I have so many stories. I have so many stories to give. I really and truly like Canada. Differently from the cold, I really like Canada. But you know, coming back to Jamaica, I must say, we as Jamaican who have people living in Canada, we must not take them for granted. You know, we must not take them for granted. They are going through a lot, and a lot is going through them. Because you see, even though it is snowing and I'm driving on the road, and when you're driving on the road, I see people going to work. You know they are going to work. They have the lunch kit in their hand, and they have them little bag. You just know they are going to work. As much as they're in their clothes and all of that, you can see them going to work. Sometimes when I am on the road and like we stop, I know my Jamaican people them, and they're either going to work or they're coming from work. And I'm just looking at them and I said, you know, when you don't know what people have to go through to make life, to make a living, it's best for you to shut up. It's best for you not to say anything. And it's when somebody can leave Jamaica because we're privileged, you know. We Jamaican people, we feel like we're privileged, like people owe us something. And you see, when we get up and go out, and people get up and go to Canada and say they go work, it's work them go. It's not like Jamaica, you got work and you dilly-dally, or work them go. And if they don't go to work, we must have.
Hope you have watched that video. Imagine arriving in Canada believing you have finally found a place where you can build a better future, only to discover that your immigration status could put everything you worked for at risk. For some Jamaicans, the Canadian dream has become a painful reality filled with uncertainty, financial pressure, immigration problems, and the fear of being forced to leave. But what is really happening are Jamaicans are actually being pushed out of Canada, or there is a much bigger story behind these heartbreaking claims. Today, we are separating the emotion from the fact and looking at what is really happening in Jamaica and in Jamaicans in Canada. Canada has long been viewed as one of the major destinations for Jamaicans looking for education, employment, family opportunities, and a fresh start. Over the years, thousands of Jamaicans has made Canada their home, contributing to communities, business, healthcare, construction, transportation, education, and many other sectors. But immigration is not simply about arriving at airport and starting a new life. Every visa, permit, application, and immigration pathway comes with conditions. And when these conditions are not met, or when application are refused, or a legal status expires, um, the consequences can be serious. That is where the story becomes complicated. Um, but we have to be careful with what that wording. There is a different situation that can lead someone to leave Canada. A temporary residence may reach at the end of their authorized stay. A work or a study permit may expire. An application for permanent residence may be refused. Someone may lose their legal status, or in certain circumstances, immigration enforcement can result in removal. These are the very different situations, and putting them all under one headline can make the reality look simpler than it is actually is. For the Jamaicans community, however, the emotional impact can be anonymous. Imagine spending years working, paying rent, supporting relatives, building friendship, and believing that Canada is becoming your permanent home, only to discover that your future there is uncertain. That is, an uncertainty can devastating. And there is another side of story that deserves attention: the financial pressure. Moving to another country is expensive. There is application fee, accommodation cost, transportation, food, healthcare, consideration, tuition for students, and the everyday cost of living. For someone arriving with limited savings, even finding stable environment can become a major challenge. Some immigration arrives with qualification and experience, but discover that their credentials are not immediately recognized. Others may find themselves accepting jobs far below the level of work they previously performed. And when immigration status is tied to employment, the pressure can become even greater. A person may feel that losing a job is not simply losing a paycheck. It could potentially threaten their entire immigration future. That is an incredible stressful position to be in. Behind every migration statistic is an human story. There is a mother who came to Canada hoping to provide better opportunities for their children. There is a young person who arrived believing that education would open their doors to permanent settlement. There is an worker who spent years sending money home to relatives in Jamaica. And there is families who have made Canada their second home and now face different decisions about there to remain. Return to Jamaica or find another legal pathway. For these people, leaving Canada isn't simply packing a suitcase. It can mean leaving behind friendships, um, careers, schools, communities, and sometimes family members. That is why conversation about immigration need to be handled with comparison. At the same time, we should not allow dramatic headline to create unnecessary fear. Canada has immigration laws, and those laws apply to people from different Jamaica, just as they apply to people from other countries. So, if you are watching this, someone living in Canada or someone planning to move there, the most important thing is to understand your immigration status. Know when your documents expire. Understand the condition attached to your permit. Keep copies of important documents, and if you are facing immigration problems, seek advice from qualified immigration professional or an authorized legal representative rather than relying solely on social media. A viral video can create thousands of views, but it cannot replace proper legal advice. And perhaps the most important message is this: before making the journey, understand the rules, and once you arrive, protect your legal status and seek reliable advice when the problem arises. If you found this discussion informative, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And let me know in your comments, do you think Canada is becoming harder for immigrants to settle in permanently, or is a social media making it to look so hard for people? Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below.